equations before we solve them, we've got a pretty good idea, a pretty good handle at this point, I hope, at solving two-step equations. The general idea being that we don't just attack the variable right away. We have to get rid of other things first. So we deal with the constant first. We work our way slowly towards the variable. Right here, we're looking at subtracting 4 from both sides. And then that gave us negative 3x equals 12. So because we were able to cancel that out. Now, the next thing, we dealt with the coefficient, right, by dividing by that coefficient on both sides. So divide by, in this case, negative 3 on both sides. And that gave us our x. That's exactly what we were looking for. We were looking for our x, and we see what happened along the way. So by subtracting 4 from both sides, that took 4 away from the 16, giving us 12. By dividing by negative 3, that divided this 12 by negative 3, and we got our 4. And that's how we worked our way towards that. But what about something a little bit more complex? What if we have some parentheses in here? Right? We have to simplify this first, which means that we need to distribute into the parentheses before we start. Okay, so this is, again, techniques that are not new to you, stuff we've looked at with the expressions as well as the equations. Just remember, all we're doing is distributing the outside coefficient of this larger factor. So this is actually a factor right here, and the negative 2 is another factor. So the coefficient of this larger term really is what we're looking at, and we distributed it in. So this negative 2 times negative 6x becomes a positive 12x, and negative 2 times 5 becomes a negative 10, right? And that, of course, is equal to 14. And now it's really straightforward. This looks exactly the same as we got before. We're going to add 10 to both sides, and that's going to give us 12x equals 24, and therefore then dividing by 12 on both sides gives us x equals 2, right? So this is a pretty straightforward strategy, right? We may have other things that we need to do as well. So that's distributing with the parentheses. In this case here, we've got combining like terms first. So we're going to combine like terms first. Right, that's the first thing we're going to do. 2x plus 3x is 5x. So we've got 5x minus 5 equals 15. And now we've got something that's really familiar to us again. So by adding 5 to both sides, right? By adding 5 to both sides, then we get 5x equals 20. And then we divide by 5 on both sides, and that gives us x equals 4, right? So it's just an extra step to start with before we get through to everything else. So what about combining both these ideas together, distributing and so this one here is distributing and combining like terms. So let's take a look at that. Let's first distribute this set of parentheses. That gives us 2x minus 5. And then let's distribute this set of parentheses. So 4 times, my bad. Let's rewind a little bit. So first we do this one, 2x minus 10, because 2 times 5 is 10, of course, right? And then let's do this one here. So we've got a positive 4 times a 3, that's plus 12x, and a positive 4 times negative 1 is minus 4. Right, and that's equal to 28. So now let's combine like terms. So this one here was first we distribute, and then we combine like terms. All right, so combining like terms, we get 2x plus 12x, that gives us 14x, and we get negative 10 minus 4 is negative 14, and that's equal to 28. If we then add 14 to both sides, this is the rest here is really straightforward to us. The rest is very straightforward to us. It gives us 42, and on on this side, that cancels. 14 equals 42. And then we just, 14x equals 42, and we can divide by 14 on both sides. So there's actually 3 for this. That's 3, so x equals 3. Okay, so obviously the rest is really straightforward. The idea is that we can either distribute or combine like terms or a combination of both before we start.